right. Bant control versus Abzan control is what we have here. And this Bant control deck here from Reed Hartman is very controlling, to say the least, for Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and then no other creatures, at least in the main deck. Now here's Transgress the Mind here from Bradley Carpenter, the brand new discard spell. Wants to get a good look at what Hartman's up to. Not sure if Reed wants to show it to him. Perhaps we'll see the new counter spell. We will. Scatter to the Winds. Now I'm seeing sacrifice a Windswept Heath. Both these players 5-0 here this weekend. Prairie Stream is what Hartman searches up.
Band control was not a deck I was expecting to see. I mean, it is a lot of good, individually good cards, but I was expecting Esper to be the shell of choice.
Yeah, the green splash is very small. There's not a ton of green going on here, but the green card that is notable actually isn't even a green card at all. It's Lumbering Falls.
Sure.
And that gives you a huge leg up in those control mirrors because it's a hard threat to kill. Back to Carpenter we're going to go. There's a Llanowar Waste.
And Carpenter's hand is just stocked.
Looks like Nissa's going to come into the red zone here. Yeah, I'm on the hunt for green cards here in Hartman's list, and I got Lumbering Falls, which is a land, Canopy Vista, which is a land, and then some Dragonlord Dramokas in the sideboard. So we're looking at basically a blue-white control deck here. Here's a bunch of mana. Looks like it's time to dig through time. Top 7. Hartman will take 2 with him. Dragonlord Dramoka is in there. Also a copy of Ochi's command. Clash of Wills. Planner Outburst in hand already. Perhaps he's trying to make the game about that.
Yeah, it looks like Hartman's got a fair amount of Awaken action going on in his deck. Maybe that's also kind of his winning condition.
Yeah.
Eventually you just turn on your lands and those are good enough to get the job done too.
Put the Awaken counters on Lumbering Falls. All of a sudden that thing's a 7/7.
Yeah. It's a nice way to do it.
Yep. Dig through time, done resolving. Hartman will untap. Not a ton of cards in his graveyard for additional dig through times. And this is kind of beating him down right now. Does have a copy of Swift Reckoning in hand. Gonna sacrifice Flooded Strand.
Talk about good mana.
It's pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah, this mana looks great.
Another Prairie Stream. Modern players to be jealous of this mana. Not taking any damage to search up lands. And the green splash feels quite free in this deck. Oh, there's Swift Reckoning. See you later, Nissa. I think more often than not going to have Spell Mastery in his deck, just doesn't have it now. Abzan Charm going to be played.
And no reason to wait either, as
no.
Hartman does not want Carpenter untapping, playing land number 7, Nissa flips, and suddenly he's got to answer that.
Gideon.
The issue, as I see it from Hartman's side, is you just look at cards in each player's hand. And I don't think Hartman has any real trump that he's playing towards right now.
The thing about the situation that we're in, and it feels like this just with how Hartman's deck is constructed, he can ensure card quality, but not card density.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a card like Jace's Ingenuity, or, I'm thinking of a card like Deep Analysis, just draw a bunch of cards. Like, is he ever going to have 7 cards in his hand? Doesn't really feel that way. Den Protector's the morph. Hartman will draw. Another copy of Dig Through Time.
Really important.
Would never argue the power of that card. Recently banned in Legacy.
This is the issue for blue-based control decks over the last couple months is you're not necessarily favored in a long game against Abzan. Even though you have more, card drawing on the surface, Den Protector, Abzan Charm, the discard spells, there's a lot of problematic cards, Planeswalkers, that they bring to the table.
There's Gideon again. Scatter to the Winds in hand with enough mana to awaken. Makes things a little bit interesting. I like Awaken as mechanic. A lot of play to it.
Yep, and it's another way to sort of subtly facilitate landfall. Just something to do when you play with more lands in your deck.
Yep.
And it looks like Hartman choosing not to awaken here. 2 reasons. One is, may want to cast Dig Through Time. The other, may not want something like Valorous Dance or some other card just clipping his land.
As we saw last round.
Yeah.
Morph will come in here. Carpenter will deal 2. No on Megamorph.
Not with Valorous Dance, as I believe Scatter the Winds leaves a 3/3 behind.
It does.
But other removal spells could have easily been in the mix.
Yeah. Here's Dig. Top 7. See if Hartman finds something he likes here. Dragonlord Dramoka again has shown up. Jace as well. Another copy of Planner Outburst. He's playing 3 of those in his main deck this weekend. That is really notable. Clearly feels like that card is powerful. And doubles his win condition in his deck.
And I sort of like Hartman taking the Dragonlord Dramoka alongside the Jace. An issue before with the Dragonlord Dramoka on the first dig was, well, Carpenter probably has a creature removal spell in his hands. Not going to be that good here. Take 2 creatures, at least you force 2 removal spells for that sequence to come up.
You better have 2 for those.
Yep.
This will also help him a little bit against the Den Protector nonsense because he gets to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. It still feels like Hartman is just low on cards that matter compared to Carpenter. He can hold things off for a little while, but unless Carpenter's hand is just empty on ways to interact with creatures, I think it's going to be hard for Hartman to win this sort of long game the way things are currently shaping up.
Yeah, both players are trying to pace the game out right now, kind of jockeying for position. Hartman going to take a look at the graveyard to see what Carpenter can return with Den Protector. But right now, Carpenter's the one kind of throwing the punches here. Hartman's got to start to fight back. So here's a Jace. Might be time for a Swift Reckoning. Yep. Den Protector's going to unmegamorph. See what it wants to get back. Transgress the Mind.
I really like taking Transgress the Mind here. If you have a removal spell to back it up with, see what's going on, kill the Jace, and now a bunch of cards in your hand against very few on your opponent's side. Great spot to be in.
Sansep Citadel the draw. Sometimes you just want to know, what the heck are you working with over there? It's no Thoughtseize, nothing is, but it's better than nothing. There is Transgress the Mind. There goes Dragonlord. Choose a card from it with converter mana cost 3 or greater. So last card in Hartman's hand is the Planner Outburst, which now that Carpenter is equipped with that information, makes it pretty easy to play around. The follow-up. Ruinous Path. And now, Gideon. It's a pretty good turn.
Now, the last piece of the puzzle is a way to answer Dragon Lord Jamoka.
Timely top deck.
I believe this is dig number 3.
Yep. Oh, he's found dig number 4. But not a ton else there. Ochitai's Command, Negate, Clash of Wills, Celestial Flare.
It looks like Hartman's contemplating taking a very aggressive line here of taking a land with negate. He can play Dragon Lord Jamoka with negate backup and hope that Carpenter's just cannot answer it.
It's better than nothing, right?
You know, it's kind of hard to imagine Hartman holding on to this game without trying to just go for a knockout and hope that Carpenter has no answer. I mean, trying to keep, treading water here, answering card for card, doesn't seem like a winning recipe. Probably involves taking the last copy of Dig Through Time plus something else that's not very good.
Well, yeah, this is the kind of game that Abzan's equipped to play.
Right. This is at least a shot. Put another way, you can imagine Carpenter's hand being good in an objective sense, but not being able to beat this. And I don't think any other line that Hartman takes allows him to beat a good hand.
Well, here's his shot. There's Dragon Lord Jamoka. Carpenter will draw. He's reaching for mana very quickly. Let's see what we have here. The Greed Warden. Okay. That brand new Eternal Witness effect. Can't negate that one.
But you can probably negate whatever he gets.
Yeah, it's a Ruinous Path. Gonna go after it. Gotta negate it.
All right, well, we've got our plan.
Now it's time to try to hold on. Make another ally. There's a Shambling Vent, pass the turn back. Gideon the draw here for Reed. Curious to see where Jamoka's going to go. It's going to take care of Gideon.
I appreciate trying to race, but I think the threat of the emblem or just cracking back means Hartman's got to take care of Gideon as the first order of business.
Oh, there's a Gideon there for Hartman. He'll make a Knight ally. Pass the turn back. Carpenter with the Plains, Sansep Citadel, and a Rhino in hand. Can't forget about the Shambling Vents that are hanging out there in the mana base.
But I can appreciate that Hartman at least had a plan. I think it would have been really easy there for a lot of people to take the 4th dig and a removal spell or a counter spell. Hartman's giving himself a shot to win the game.
A little under 7 minutes here for these players. Sansep Citadel is where things will start here for Bradley Carpenter. There's a Shambling Vent activation. Feels like a heavy attempt to try to get Gideon off the battlefield here.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised if everything went that way.
He could attack all of his 2-power creatures at Gideon and the Green Warden at Reed.
Makes sense.
I don't know how he ended up attacking there, but that would get the job done.
I mean, Gideon's off the battlefield. Siege Rhinos join the battlefield. A little bit of shift in life totals here. And now we're going to head back Hartman's way. Jace the draw. Pretty powerful card, but it feels like it's kind of on suspend 1 right now.
But, Hartman's still gaining some life here. He's buying himself a little bit of time.
There's Jace. Hartman empty-handed. Pass the turn back again.
I mean, Hartman's going to take a big hit this turn, but it is unlikely to be lethal. I think that Den Protector now might be too much.
I think so. Step 1's the plains, and step 2, maybe take a look at the graveyard. Ruinous Path might be attractive. Obzon Charm. Make sure you got that mana all situated to do everything you want to do. There's your morph. Here's the unmegamorph. Den Protector will get a counter. You also get a trigger. Going to return something from the graveyard. What's it going to be? Looks like it might be Ruinous Path with Awaken. It's a good use of all the mana.
Pretty efficient turn.
Yeah, I've seen worse. Going to go after Jace.
Well, I think Carpenter's logic here might be this 5/7 lifelinker is nowhere near enough to stop all the resources I have.
Okay.
I'm only going to lose to a sweeper, and his best way of drawing a sweeper is to have Jason play.
Yeah, and if Dragonlord Tremok ever stops attacking, you're pretty happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Carpenter easily has lethal next turn.
Clash of Wills the draw. As blank as can be. Carpenter doesn't need to cast another spell.
Yeah, this is lethal through a Dragonlord Tremoka block without even factoring in Shambling Vent.
Yeah. And there are a couple of them down there, and Carpenter's kind of moving them around to let Hartman know. Yeah, I can't even forget about the land that's out there, too. Carpenter will draw a card, but I think we're going to see a pretty straightforward turn here. Well, Transgress the Mind will make it even easier to make sure it's completely safe. Show you Clash of Wills. And well, just wants to make sure, because you get to keep that. Transgress can't take that one.
But this is just lethal.
Yep.
Just a matter of tuning up the band here.
There's one vent activation. Another Shambling Vent activation. Everybody come on into the red zone. And what Reed can do is here is he can put himself at a virtual 14 and say, will I take 14 damage after blocks if I block your biggest creature? The answer is yes, and that's going to do it. Bradley Carpenter going to win this match here over Reed Hartman, 2-1. Obzon Control will take care of Bant Control, and for Bradley Carpenter, who has a Grand Prix top 8 on his resume, moves on to 6-0.
And I think the creature lands Shambling Vent that Obzon gets does help a lot in these kind of long control matchups.
For sure.
You're not activating it every single turn, but being able to activate it at moment's notice in spots where you need to come up with an alpha strike.